Well, hello. What I'll be presenting for you today is the first half of this slide deck, as like this says. I stole it from Matt and Hillary, who delivered this at InstructureCon. So I'm giving you half the deck directly from Instructure of what they delivered to us in Park City this year. And so if you're not aware, I want to let you know that there is no versioning of the Canvas software. Every single hosted user worldwide of Canvas, we're all using the same Canvas. There is no 1.1, 1.2. Like Peter had mentioned with Collaborate, they do big versioning releases to 2.5, and you're probably familiar with it with our previous LMSs with Angel and Blackboard. You have scheduled downtime, and it's going to take 2 days, and there's a million new things you have to learn. Canvas's philosophy is different. There's no versioning. Every customer's on the same product unless they went and grabbed the free open source and are using it themselves. So every 3 weeks, Canvas releases updates. Little bug fixes, a little bit of new features. When they do make a big change in, like, say, the discussion board where it's really going to affect you, they'll put it out to us admins as an opt-in. So once Kelly and her team have gotten you trained and up to speed, they'll flip the switch and turn it on for you if it's a really big change. But other than that, you're going to get hit with updates and changes and new Canvas, evolving Canvas every 3 weeks, which some people look upon that very negatively, others don't. And so it's just the fact of life we live in now. So we're going to come through here, see what's coming down the pipe, and where Canvas is going. And then we'll also be talking about, when I go to my slide deck, how can we influence the Canvas roadmap? And so it's going to be a little bit of carryover to my session I did yesterday, if you were there. So this kind of says it all. Canvas's goal, they want to deliver this to you. It's a pretty lofty goal. But they are trying to accomplish it. And how did they get there? That's the real question. So this is what I call, slide deck 1A. If an enterprise level vendor is not telling you these things, they probably shouldn't be an enterprise level vendor. I don't care about the first 4, whatever it is. I just want to make sure they're there, that they're aware of it, and they're doing their job. What really matters is the last bullet point there, the UI, and your input into this UI, and your input into the product. That's where Canvas is putting most all of their attention on this product. They're not deciding themselves and what's going to be built into this product, what's not. They're getting it from you and I.
What's UX?
I don't know what they're calling it, user interface. I mean, UI is usually what and they have both, and I don't know. But during InstructureCon, let's see if I had put that in here. Not only did they have kiosks where you could go and give input, they had a part of their team dedicated grabbing us as we walked by. Here, sit down. Go tell me how to find and put assignment in. Okay. And they'd watch me. And I'd be like confused. How long did it take me? Did I understand it? They'd watch me do it. And then they had a few questions to ask of me when I was done. And then from there, I got to pick the next one. And so they would target one and then let me choose one of 5 areas. And, they spent 10 minutes with me. They took notes on how did I interact? Was it easy? Was it not easy? Then my questions and answers. And then I got a really nice hat, which I was going to bring. And, of course, my son stole it back from me. So, excuse me, if you're not aware, Canvas is big on their T-shirts at the conferences and the swag that we got for the Washington Users Conference. They do all kinds of really cool T-shirts, and people are out to get every t-shirt they offer. Well, I have one of the rare hats from the usability testing from the conference. So Matt and Hillary stood up in front of, and you can watch all these recordings from InstructureCon. They're on YouTube. I'm not going to play you Matt and Hillary's. I'm going to play you a snippet here in a minute from the nerd version of this. But they do. They steal and use your ideas. Just to make you aware and how you can self-help, I believe fully in teaching people how to fish. If you want to know more about the Canvas roadmap, if you want to influence the Canvas roadmap, we're going to be talking about it in more depth. Familiarize yourself with these options. And you can get to it at help.instructure.com or clicking on the help icon once you're logged in. All right, and this little snippet of video I'm going to play you, they're going to talk about APIs. And so I mentioned this earlier in the App Center conversation. This is how software components will talk to each other. This will allow all of these cool various products that other companies are building and Canvas is building to work seamlessly behind the scenes. And so he's going to mention it and he'll show you some of the examples.
This document represents the roadmap for the second half of this year. These are the things that we're going to be doing. Study it because you'll never get another copy. Just kidding. We'd be happy to send you an electronic copy of this. Reach out to your account relationship manager. My email address is at the beginning of the presentation. Feel free to send me an email if you want a copy. People often ask when we show off a roadmap, hey, how do you guys decide what you're going to work on? And you know, we've got a nice tight-knit group here. I feel like I can trust all of you. So I'm going to share a really big secret. It's never been done before in the LMS market, but we talk to the people who use the software. Seriously, don't tell. If the other guys find out, we might be in trouble. So we're super excited about this roadmap, and we'll go from there.
So before we jump into the roadmap items, I want to talk a little bit about API. And we talk a lot about openness, about platform, interoperability, and if you don't feel like you've been beat over the head at this conference with those concepts, then you haven't been paying attention and you should probably go see your school nurse. An open API is at the heart of what we do, and when we write or rewrite features, we start with the API and then we build the feature on top of that. For example, our mobile apps are 100% built on the open APIs that are available to everybody. And our long-term goal is for you to be able to do everything possible in Canvas via APIs. So this ridiculously cute panda is this is Xiao Li Wu at the San Diego Zoo. He was born last year, I think, and he's being very protective of this ball. So sometimes online services are like this, right? Like they don't want to give up their data. Like you give it to them and then they hang on to it really tightly. And sometimes Canvas can be like this. Eventually, Xiaoli Wu is going to grow up and he's going to learn to share his toys. And so let's look at how Canvas has grown up in the past couple years. So 2 years ago at InstructureCon, I presented that, hey, we just started our API and we had 5 API components available. And we were pretty proud of ourselves, just with this really small amount of things you could do via the API. Last year, a year ago, I did another slide showing the difference, and these are all of the API components that we had added. And in the last year, we've added 23 more, so we're up to a total of 45 API components, which I think is pretty good progress. And you can see this is too much stuff to read, but a lot of this is driven by development of the mobile apps and other features that we've built in Canvas because we build the API first now. So we've certainly grown up and learned to share our toys.
So the reason I wanted to show you this is to give you the bigger picture of how Canvas is working. So part of me teaching how to fish is going to show you where you can go to find information on the Canvas roadmap, where you can go to participate in that roadmap. But it's good for you to see this slide here of how fast they're adding tools. And I've had a conversation earlier. Canvas was a young product. It did not have everything that Angel did when we left Angel. And they're building them in leaps and bounds. And so we need to be on top of their roadmap on that radar and seeing what's coming. So let's get into the fun stuff. This is also from Scott and Hillary's slide deck. It's so new, it's hand-drawn. It's not on the roadmap yet, but it is on their radar. And so a handheld polling app that's designed for your face-to-face classroom. So as I'm standing up here in front of you, and you're just sitting there being sponges, by the way, ask questions at any time, please. You could just interject a poll, a question, and the students could pull out their smartphones and answer it. So it's a way to help make the classroom face-to-face a little bit more interactive. And it's engaging those students who love their technology. But they're not going to let the online classroom lose out. And so they're adding integrated learning activities, which this is exciting to me. In pretty much every course we teach, there's a certain amount of meat and potatoes of content, of static content you're just going to have to get through, right? To bring up everyone to that certain level of knowledge, so then you can have discussions about it and other things. Well, now in the middle of your static content, you can throw a polling question out, and it can be interactive right in the middle of what normally would have been just a static content page. And so this is just a couple of the features that are coming. Okay, outcomes, very important to a lot of us. And I think it's fair assessment to say it's been a little weak in the outcomes. And they've already upgraded it once since we've been on Canvas. And now they have another big release into outcomes coming. And if you want to know more and on the specifics of it, feel free to jump in on where I'll show you those Canvas guides and the feature requests. And you can get yourself involved in the discussion of where this is going.
What do we mean by outcomes?
Are they meeting the outcomes that they should be learning for that course? And this is a tool that could measure that and actually deliver you back a number showing, yes, they are meeting it at a 80% level. And so it's being really the biggest change is the interface is building out to give you a lot more detailed information. It's not so generalized. So there's your roadmap. That's all you get. Unless you contact them, no. I didn't bother with the size and trying to read it and explain it all to you here. This is available online. My slide deck and all the URLs are available to you from this conference. So you can go and call this up yourself. But I like how they lay out, we're going to add more power and ease to the grading. Well, why are we going to do that? Other LMSs didn't really give you the ability to understand why they're going in that direction and how they see it used. It's just, here you go, here's the new tool. And so here you can get a lot better information. So I do like the increased mobile access that is on this list. The mobile apps, if you haven't used them already, the speed greeter and other features are even going to get more powerful. I think basically, I think their goal should be to go to the direction of being able to accomplish the whole class as a student and as a teacher from the app, from your device, not from a web browser. That would be awesome. All right, so that's the end of Matt and Hillary's slide deck. Here's the URL so you can go watch their 30-minute session from InstructureCon. It was great. It was packed. I ended up standing in the hallway because I showed up too late, so it was very highly attended. And if you do have information, if you want more information, feel free to contact them, but I would recommend you just write down Rick at Instructure. Rick is supposed to be the one today doing this, so I'm Ricky Jr. He is our account manager for Canvas for Washington State Community Colleges. He had a prior commitment, couldn't be here today, but I work with him on a daily basis, and he's a wonderful guy and could be a great resource. So I threw in a little transition slide to me. Okay, so now that you know they have a roadmap, that roadmap comes from their users, how do you get yourself interjected into that conversation? And that's what we're going to talk about here. We're going to focus on the request a feature, and then how can we as Washington State leverage that request a feature to our benefit. So we did have a conference last year, a WCUG, which I hate the abbreviation, so the Washington Canvas User Groups. And you faculty came out in droves to support it by offering up presentations and wanting to share with others. And that's really what made it a complete success. We'll be doing it again this year, hopefully in the Seattle district schools. So look for more information on that. And so the request a feature, like I did in my other presentation, it's one of those options in the Canvas guides is the request a feature. You click on it, you can go in and say, this is what I want the discussion boards to look. This is how I want the discussion boards to function. Now, I'd highly recommend if you're going to do a feature request, you really think it through. You document it. You think about how it will affect the students, how it affects faculty. Think about a university model, semester model, quarter model, because they need to then turn around and adapt this to all of their clients. And so I'm working with Instructure to get 2 or 3 examples of really good feature requests that have been submitted. And I'm going to start sharing those out across the state as here's an example of what to shoot for when you decide to go put in a feature request. So you'll be more successful. And so I just went into the web and grabbed it. So add text column in a gradebook and hide rather than hide modules. Does that one make sense to you if you're previous Angel users? I've seen a couple of heads nod. It was a lot easier in Angel to just turn off modules and the students couldn't see them. And so there's some improvement needed in Canvas, and someone's already put in a feature request for it. And what's nice is these discussions have been happening since April 21st, 2011. Users in the Canvas world are going in and talking about how to hide modules and why and what shouldn't be done and what should be done. And Canvas is in there participating too. And at some point, when it got enough votes, Canvas went, I'm paying attention. Click, it's now planned. Canvas is going to implement this change. And it came solely from a faculty member at some college who said, hey, it should do this. And the community voted upon it, discussed it, flushed it out, and now it's happening. You can go in and see all of this. There's 272 that have been implemented from Canvas since they started this. I didn't even count how many are in the plan. So that's how you as an individual can have a say. Well, to me, that's not good enough. How does Washington State higher education have a say? Every single higher education university except Wazoo and Skagit Community College are on Canvas. That's a huge number of people. So I'm starting in fall quarter I got Eastern is on board to help, and so is UW, and 3 community colleges, is to create a new communication path that'll include our university partners. And from there, my idea is to have request a features that have already been put in, flushed out. We get together and have a conversation, and as Washington State higher education, we say we want these 5 things, or we want these 10 things. This is important to Washington State. And if we do it right, we can go get thousands of votes. It's on their radar if it gets 600 or 700. Think of what 33 out of 34 community colleges and 5 out of 6 universities could get for votes if we work together. And so that's a community that I'm going to try to create right now, and we'll need your participation in it to make it successful. But we would then have a direct influence on the Canvas roadmap for what Washington State wants. So a little bit of information on the conference that we put on. I think we did it in 3 months. It was crazy. John Farquhar from Western Washington University helped get this going. It was wonderful to work with. And then my team, Brooke and Monique and Jackie at the state board, pulled it off, along with Tacoma's help. Every single session is recorded integrity. It's available on our website, and you can go watch them right now. And this is just Washington State coming together, helping each other succeed. And we had a big presence from our universities as well. So look for some more information. The 2014 conference hopefully will be hosted by these 2 schools. We actually pulled it off during spring break, and people still came and attended, which was really appreciated. So in closing, I got a hold of Rick and I said, okay, what's the inside track? What doesn't anyone know you guys are doing? And I said, give me 3 things. So here are 3 items that Canvas is working on that they haven't released and told anybody. And I know the middle one is important to a lot of the real heavy users in Canvas, the people who are more adept in it. And so by different options, simply reading an assignment, you get access to more content. It can go in as deep as, did you pass the exam? Well, what % did you pass the exam? Oh, by 50? Okay, then you go to this content. Oh, you got 100? Okay, now you get this content. And so that's going to be a huge release for the more power users. And it's interesting, I had no idea they were planning that. So that's all I have for you today. Hopefully you'll take it upon yourself to go out to those Canvas guides and ask if, request a feature area and kind of see what's going on. So thank you.